Yo, we're
Wow.
live.
What's up? We're called the Contempt.
What's
Howdy,
up?
howdy.
We're here with Jeff.
Jay Grunn.
I'm here. I'm here today.
The Devil in the Belfry. And what else?
A Gathering of None.
Gathering of None. That's also a great band, yeah.
I'm in the Good Hormones.
That's right. That's right, yeah.
Bad Hormones. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I play for Sean Henry tonight and the Tenighters. Occasionally.
4 bands, man. How do you manage that?
I've played for Knollwood a few times too. I filled in on bass for Knollwood a couple times.
How do you manage
and I play bass for a prog metal band, but that's like more so just recording stuff every once in a while.
How do you manage all that though? Like you play out a lot. Like no, yes.
Not as much as I used to. About 5 years ago, it was like nonstop. It was like every weekend we had something going on. Nowadays, it's obviously with the pandemic, it is what it is now, but it's slowly building back up. A lot of the times it's because the bands are so spread out and they're not constantly gigging, like it's not touring and everything like that. I mean, I've been on a few tours, but it's really just I don't know, good time management, I guess, and just I guess there's like some bands take priority over others and stuff like that. It's just a big balancing act. I got a solid equilibrium going on between everything.
Like balancing plates.
Yeah, and like juggling soccer balls with my feet. Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
You were telling me
while getting shivved in the kidneys at work.
You were telling me off air earlier that you kind of just taught yourself guitar, right? It was kind of like hit the ground running sort of thing. Oh, you froze up.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm a completely self-taught musician. Other than like, I mean, maybe I looked up a video here and there to learn scales and stuff like that. But like mostly just learning songs and tablature is how I learned all of the stuff I know. And believe it or not, Rock Band kind of taught me how to play drums. I learned the concept and how beats work on Rock Band. But
awesome.
there was a time where I played a shit ton of Guitar Hero in like 10th, 11th grade, whenever the hell that became like super popular. And then I hit a point my senior year where I was like, I could be learning an actual instrument. And then I fucking picked up the bass for the first time because my friend was playing bass, and he brought it into school one day for like a project, and I was watching him play. I was like, I think I can do that. And that was the first time I picked up a bass was that my senior year of high school. So I was kind of a late bloomer when it came to music. So I've only been playing for like a little over 10 years now.
Dude, I didn't start until I was 19, 18. I was in college.
Yeah, so you started basically when I started, yeah. Yeah.
But I like knew what I liked and I knew what I wanted to play. I wanted to play Metallica, but like wasn't ever playing Metallica.
I think one of the first songs I learned on guitar was Enter Sandman. I was like, that's like the the epitome of the rock riff you should know.
Yeah, that was like
the 3rd or 4th song I learned on my ex's guitar.
The stairway to heaven of our generation is Enter Sandman.
Ooh yeah, as one would say.
I used to play guitar, but I put it down many years ago. But like I knew like Pearl Jam songs and Nirvana was like, that's how far I got, and that was great.
Oh man, yeah. So I'm like, I guess
You started with bass. That was.
I started with bass. And I dabbled with the guitar as I was like kind of like parallel. I was focused on bass. I was learning songs primarily on bass. Like my first song I think I learned was Bad Habit by The Offspring. That was the song where I was like, I want to play bass. That one and One Arm Scissor by At the Drive-In. That's another one that was like, I want to do that. That sounds fun.
I remember that. So that's good shit.
Yeah. Still to this day, one of my favorite albums is that Relationship in Command. One of my top 5 albums.
I feel like that was a great time for music. Like this is a good time to talk about WSOU. I feel like was like.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I used to listen to the fucking Refused. From Autumn to Ashes.
Yeah.
Oh shit, yeah.
El Nino, like so much shit that like to me as like now like you would never know that I gave a fuck about any of that shit, but like goddamn, I loved that fucking time of like listening to the radio and like WSOU would play shit that's like, oh, what the fuck is this? This is pretty cool. Like it definitely opened me up as a musician.
The day I found that radio station blew my mind. I was on my way down. I was at work, and I was stuck in this truck. I had to go pick up a coworker from Jackson, New Jersey, way down south by Six Flags. And I'm on the way down. The truck I was driving was like it was like a 2000 Colorado or something, big fucking tank, and it didn't. All I had was a radio, and I'm just flipping through stations. I was like, WDHA was out at this point, and I'm just kind of just scrolling through, see if I can find anything rock related, and then boom, 89.5 came on, and I heard double bass and screaming. I was like, what the fuck? Like on the radio. It caught me completely off guard. I was like, yes, please, and I just kept it on for the whole ride down until I lost it at some point, but. But yeah, WSU is awesome. And then I went to a few like local shows they used to put on. The first band I ever played and actually got one of our songs played on the Yanker Crank, or was it? I think it was like Yanker Crank or whatever on the Street Patrol show on the Wednesday night show. They got it's like all local acts in New Jersey, unsigned bands, and on every once in a while that you could give your CD to the radio station with a sheet of your lyrics, and then they'll play your song, and if people like it, they can call in and say crank it or yank it. And if they say yank, they snap your CD on air, which you can't see but you can hear, but we got cranked, so because it was a fluke though, because our quote unquote band manager at the time, or we had like two people, like kind of one was doing our artwork and one was managing us, and they realized you can just keep calling in, they don't check who it is, so they called in like 10-15 times each.
That's great.
And there's only so many people listening to the show, so we ended up getting cranked, and now we can request a song each week to be played. I think I called in like 2 or 3 weeks after that to get our song requested, and they played it like once or twice more. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Like I've never like having your song be played on the radio, even if it's just like a local station show.
I'll tell you,
pretty cool.
I feel like so many people listen to SOU and they're like, "Oh, call in and you could win tickets," and literally they got like 3 calls. Like I know so many people that were like, "Oh yeah, I just fucking called it and won the tickets on SOU."
I've won 3 times. 3 times
I've won. That's what I'm
won.
saying.
Yeah.
Like if you just make the call, odds are you're probably like, yeah, I'll probably get it. You know, it's you and like 3 other people. Like, for as many hundreds of people are listening, like nobody's picking up the phone. Like, oh, I fucking want to go see, the Deftones or whatever. Like, So who won tickets for?
So the first one I won was a Street Patrol show, which was the local show. They were doing a showcase. They had like I think 8 or 7 of the bands that got played on the radio for the Street Patrol in New Jersey. So they had a local show, Dingbats. I won tickets to that, which was like $15 or $10 or something like that. But no big deal. Then I won tickets to see Ghost. I'm not like a huge Ghost fan, but I was like, what the hell?
I would go see it for free.
And Ghost was cool. Ghost was cool. I brought Brendan from Devil in the Belfry, and we went and we had a good time. They put on a cool show live. And then the third time I won tickets was Halloween to a sold out show in Brooklyn, I think it was, at like Gramercy. I think it was Gramercy.
Nice.
But my girlfriend Laura is a huge Halloween fan, huge, and the show was sold out for like the second it went on sale. It gets sold out in like a day, and I won tickets to that. So we got to go see Halloween, and I was like, I knew I Want Out. That was like the one song I knew by them going into it, and I like listened to a few beforehand, and I'm like a fan now because it was awesome. They put on a killer show, and they had both their vocalists from
Legend of the Seven Keys, bro.
Yeah, and they had both their vocalists with them too. So they had both era vocalists, like they're just both hanging out in there. Like there's no like ill will or anything like that. So they had both.
Dude,
it was really
that's
awesome.
Like the ideal situation. Is like no egos. Everybody's just like, oh yeah, I'll sing this song.
Yeah.
You sing this one.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, we're all pals. It's the best.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was an awesome show. Packed, ton of people there.
That's very rare in metal, I feel.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. A lot of times it's like a malicious breakup.
It's like this guy or that guy, fuck you.
Dick someone over, stole some money, or did some behind their backs. Yeah, you see all that shit all the time.
It's great. You look at like the metal bands now that are touring, and it's like one of the original members, maybe. Like it was like the guy that filled in once and was like, oh yeah, now I'm the guitarist. Okay, I guess this is my band. Like I'm the last man standing. It's like, no, you don't belong here anymore. Like hang it up, do something else.
Yeah, like Ghost even. Didn't he fire the rest of his band? And now it's like a whole new band behind the masks.
It's all fucking guys behind masks. So it could be like, oh yeah, I died 5 times, but it's the same guy every time coming out with that mask that died.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah. Apparently there was some like legal shit, or
there was
someone was taking too much credit for something. Yeah,
those guys like outed themselves, and I think like pissed that whole thing off. I don't really like. I'm not a Ghost fan at all. Like I kind of like casually know about their shit because I read like Metal Sucks and like all those like websites or whatever, like for the metal gossip, to see like, oh, the two rats are fighting, like, oh, that's great. One of them spells it with 3 T's. No, that hasn't happened yet. But like they do like I love reading about really any like pop culture kind of like shit.
I love the drama.
Yeah,
like I hate being part of drama, but reading the drama is, you know. Yeah,
reading that's
the best. Being the innocent bystander, just observing the situation, is the best part.
You know nothing about that, so.
Yeah.
So you guys were playing with Aegon, like not recently, not too far, like in the past. Like I saw a picture you guys went and
we started this thing. Our drummer Chris lives down in Virginia, in Bluefield, and we get together each year. Last year during the pandemic, we had like a small like get together over the summer, and then we did it again this year, but the whole band got to come. Last year it was just me, Tracy, and Chris, and you know, a couple other family friends like Gary and Debbie are huge fans in the scene, and we've been friends with them, you know, since we started playing. But this year we had everyone come, so we had Justin and Ken as well make it to the thing. So we had this whole weekend outing at Chris's house, and we set everything up in his like basement that still needs to be like, you know, tidied up. We just kind of like pushed some shit around, got down there, we jammed like 10-15 songs, just because we got a show coming up in September, but we haven't played together since December of 2019, I think it was the last time we actually all were in the same room when we recorded Give Up the Ghost. So we've been itching. It's been, you know, year and a half now since we've actually, you know, been in the same room and jammed and just kind of like let the magic, you know, happen, whatever, you know, fucking musicians are calling it, you know. So yeah, we did an acoustic jam. I think it was the Friday or Saturday night, and then Sunday we all like I think it was Saturday, we all got in the basement and just jammed out like 15 songs or something like that. It was awesome. It felt good to be all in the same room again together, just kind of, you know, making music.
That was my follow-up question. It is like a magic feeling, right? Like,
yeah, when we're recording with Aegon, we do it at Ken's house. He built a house a couple years back and got a studio built right into the house. Like, it was part of the plans, was to put a studio in the basement, you know, a little mixing room and a live room. So when we record our albums, we go down there and record, and, you know, we demo out all our songs remotely because we live so far apart. You know, I'm in Jersey, Justin's in Texas, and everyone else lives in Virginia at some part. You know, 2 live in Bluefield and 1 lives in Reiner. So they're, you know, everyone's kind of spread out. So we have to do this remote thing where, you know, we all, for one way or another, know how to record our demos and stuff like that. So, like, you know, we'll send each other ideas and we're like, oh, we like that, you know. So we'll like demo out all of our songs. We'll give all the input we can remotely. But then when we get together, Justin kind of like takes the producer hat and slaps it on, is like, all right, because he's like addicted to songwriting, which is awesome. Like, having someone that's like more about the songwriting than writing a really cool riff. You know, you can have a real cool riff, but if you implement it properly, you have a good song too. So, oh, there goes my monitor. See, there goes my backlight. See, now there's no lighting in here. There we go. Look at that. All right, DIY lighting. So he puts this producer hat on and basically like, oh, what if you tried it this way or this note, or, you know, oh, what about this? Try this fill here. And he basically, as we're doing it, we have a limited time to do it because we're coming from, you know, out of state. He's got to buy a plane ticket to come up. I got to drive 7 hours down. And so we have like a limited time. You know, we're only taking a couple of days off of work. So we're banging these things out quickly. But at the same time, we're like, okay, we have this wire framework, and now we filled it in with all of our ideas that we bring to the table, and now we're just kind of like molding it into our sound, because when we're all together, it's just easier to convey what we're trying to convey. You know, like, oh, you know, I think this fill would sound so cool, or what if we tried this? And we each put our little spices in each of the songs, and our songs end up becoming what Aegon is. And what you hear ever since, like, Nothing Left to Lose was mostly Tracy, Chris, Justin was part of the band. I think they all had their hands in it. But as far as all 5 of us that it is now, One Last Grasp at Hope and Give Up the Ghost is all 5 of us putting our, you know, ideas and our brains into the pot and shaking it around, see what happens. So it's cool. And we all get along so fucking well. So it's like it's so butter smooth. Sometimes it gets a little aggravating if you can't quite get the take and Justin's pushing you, but ultimately it pays off. If you can get that thing he's going for and then you listen to it back, you're like, oh fuck, that does sound good. You know, you might be fighting it. Tracy's real stubborn, so you know, he's always like, nah, I'm gonna do it this way. It's like, just try it. And he's like, fine. You know, then he does it. He's like, okay, you were right. You know, so you get shit like that happen. You know, he's like, okay, that does sound really cool. I'm glad you pushed me to do it.
That's so important. It's like all pushing each other and everybody kind of.
It's constructive criticism.
But you don't want to be too comfortable. Like you need to be able to do what you need to do as well.
I mean, me being in the band is that in a nutshell to begin with, because like. The only reason I'm in the band is because Tracy was putting out feelers for the first live. He wanted to do a live show. This band was founded in 2013. He's like, I'm just gonna start writing music that I want to, write myself. It's not gonna be the horror punk thing anymore. It's gonna be whatever I want to write. You know, it's just me. I'm writing my thing. And then it blossomed. And that's why it was called The Gathering of None, because it was just Tracy. Then it blossomed into this whole thing where he's like, I want to do a live show. I'm itching to play live because Blitzkid broke up in 2012. At this point, it's 2016, I think. So he's itching to play live again. And he's putting out feelers. He's like, hey, are there any guitarists in New Jersey that want to, do a live show with Aegon? And I was like, I sat there for like a minute or two and I was like, I don't think I'm good enough, but maybe I can be, because like I know the songs and I started learning myself even before he put the post out, and I started learning them just by myself, trying to figure them out by ear and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. If I push myself and challenge myself to like do what he's asking, then maybe I'll become a better guitarist, and maybe I can go above my comfort level and come out of it just better at what playing guitar, because I never saw myself as a guitarist, more so I'm like an amateur musician, but more so a bassist than a guitarist.
Yeah, but that's so important to even be like, oh, if I do this, like, I not to sidetrack us, but I love being like the weakest link of like, oh, what can I learn from like these people around me that clearly know what they're doing. Yeah.
I'm like 100% the weakest link in this band. Just seeing them all work together, and I came into this like kind of a stranger too. Like Devil in the Belfry was a year into playing live shows at this point, so we're like very new in that friend group, that scene and stuff like that.
New, like I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Devil only started playing live shows like I think our first time was late 2014. It was like December. It was like a week before New Year's kind of deal. Like it was right around Christmas. We played the open mic at Dingbat, so we were like super fresh on the scene. No one really knew who. Brendan's been in the scene forever. But I was like, I've been to a show here and there over the years, but never not enough for anyone to recognize me. Like, oh, hey, Jeff, Now it's the complete opposite. Like everyone knows everyone now. And I'm, honored to be a part of the whole thing, because it's really cool to be a part of this like huge, like spread out, like network of like horror fans all over the place. So I came into it like a stranger completely. So I was like out of my element and like social element, so I just kind of like put myself out there, and then we just hit it off. And like after the live show, they asked me to come back and like, hey, do you want to like keep playing with us? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, so
cool.
It was cool. Yeah. So now and because of all that, I think a much better guitarist, a lot cleaner player. I'm more creative in my writing. I learned a lot about singing, even like in harmonies and all that stuff. I learned a lot about like mixing and stuff like that from Justin, because he's basically a professional audio engineer. So yeah, I learned a ton of stuff just because I saw a post on Facebook and it was like, fuck it, I'm going for it. And I sat down and for the next few months, I just learned all the songs and practice. And yeah, I honestly, if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it just the same.
That's awesome, man. Chutzpah,
and it helps. I mean, it helps my own solo writing stuff, and I brought some of the writing techniques into Devil in the Belfry. If you listen to Drawing Flies off of our self-titled EP, the structure of that song is structured like how Tracy writes songs. I took his structure where he does like this, he calls it the blue ball, where you don't slap the chorus in right after the first verse. You go back to the main riff and then come back to two verses before the chorus, and then when the chorus hits harder. And I use that for some songwriting now. I got a few my own songs where I utilize that where it seems to work. Sometimes having a chorus right off the bat is it's all servicing the song, because every song is different, So, but yeah, I took, like, for instance, that writing technique and applied it to my own writing and, Devil in the Belfry and stuff like that. So
you were talking about, you just wrote some songs for the latest album. So what was that process like?
For latest, which one? Devil or Aegon?
I thought you were talking about Devil, right?
I think you were Aegon before.
No, Aegon.
For Aegon, like, I don't. None of the songs so far up to this date are my songs written from my. I didn't create them from scratch. All you hear now, there's little bits and pieces where you can hear, like, oh, that was my idea, or this was my idea.
Yeah,
it's mostly those four guys.
I think you
but
said
I've written 3 solos now for them, and I've written a couple textured parts, and I added a couple, like, layers and stuff like that. Oh, what if we tried this here? Maybe someday off the new EP, I added this swell effect towards the end of the song that I thought would be cool to hit, because we have this really cool fucking breakdown. It's one of my favorite riffs that Tracy ever wrote, and it comes right off the bat after the first chorus, but on the second chorus we come back to it. But it's like, instead of coming right back to it the same way we did before, where it's kind of like predictable, it's like, what if we just did this kind of like pause and we swelled up and like crescendoed and then it hit harder? So, like, there's like little things like that I've added into songs. I added, like I said, like a couple textures, guitars. But Chris wrote a song called Rise, which is like overcoming addiction and trying to better yourself, through any, just any means necessary, trying to get in a better headspace, and people who are addicted or going through struggles, and just like kind of, it's all about just kind of get yourself back on your feet, hence the song Rise. Like, Justin writes a lot of, and Tracy write a lot of thrashier solos. I'm not like the greatest soloist in the world, so I get to write like the more melodic stuff. And Rise is like a very soulful but kind of dark and gloomy song at the same time. But in the bridge, it gets kind of like, upbeat. It switches to like kind of like a major key. And so I wrote the solo for that. It's probably one of the coolest solos I wrote. It just like, and they're always telling me they're like it's perfect. You don't need to thrash. There was no need to make this like a fucking John Petrucci, Randy Rhoads bullshit. There's no need to insert this on with it. Like, so it's I don't know. I find it surreal that like these 4 incredible musicians let me write solos for like their babies. It's pretty wild. But yeah, so yeah, I got a solo on that song, a solo on Something You Should Know, and one on, we did a re-recording of an old song called Crying Wolf, or Cry Wolf, I think it's Cry Wolf, which is one of Tracy's original demos. It was actually, I think it was going to be a Vigora song at one point. There's actually a few, Aegon and Vigora overlap a little bit, and the songs that didn't get used in Vigora got what we called Aegonized. We all put our ideas into the pot. So they let me write the solo for the Crying Wolf re-recording that we released on our like remastering. We took all the songs off the first EP and remastered them, remixed them, and everything like that, because we got the original tracks from the original mixer, and Justin took them and just like cleaned them up, but kept them dirty like the way they were recorded. It's awesome. So I got to do that solo too. But yeah, it's cool. It's something I've never really been good at, but like, I don't know, they help push me and like, oh, what if you tried this? And it's like, where's my idea. And a lot of times they're just like, this is good. Just like one little note here, one little note here, or try like a bend here instead of a, stuff like that. Just everything. Awesome, I just take everything. Yeah, I just take everything like to heart and just be like, yeah, I mean, they're much more, they're veterans in the music scene. They've been playing a lot longer than I have. So if anything they have to say, I'm not going to be like, no way, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to hear what they have to say and, take it to heart.
No, fuck that. Argue with them. You know best.
I'll be a little more argumentative if it's like my own song. I'll be like, listen, this is what I was going for, But yeah, I've got a couple songs written now. I think just like 2 of them fully written out for them. That maybe on future releases you'll hear some of my own like writing with their touch instead of the other way around. Cool. So I'm excited.
What would you say your approach is to writing songs now? Now that you've become more of a songwriter?
My process?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have the capability of demoing everything. Just this chair I'm sitting in. I got my computer right here. I've got this desk I'm sitting at is like an audio engineer's desk. It's got like all the rack stuff, and I got an Axe Effects. I got a brand new PC I built over the pandemic. I got my headphone mixer, my audio interface, and I got power conditioners. So I can sit at this desk, not move my ass once, and I got my guitars all right next to me here. I don't have to move from my seat, and I can demo out a full fucking song. My mic's right there. So yeah, my process now, there's one of two ways. I either write lyrics. I just start vomiting on a page, writing out whatever I'm, thinking. I have like a song title in mind, like, oh, it'd be funny to write a song like that's called this, that's about this, and then I'll start just writing out notes and lyrics and lines I think would be cool, like rhymes and shit like that, and then I'll write music to it. Or it's the other way around, where I'll just write like instrumentals, and then something will click in my head. I'm like, oh, this song sounds like this. Maybe I'll write something that's more upbeat, or if this song sounds gloomy, maybe I'll write a more serious toned song about it. So that's generally like my process now is I'll riff out a song on the guitar, or I'll write down notes for lyrics and stuff like that, and then I start on guitar most of the time, riff everything out, write the drum parts and program them in, re-record all the drums to the guitar parts, because while I'm writing guitars, I'll come up with like different transitions and stuff like that. Like, oh, I'll accent it here, and then, but I have like I have like a half time, a regular time, and a double time drum beat I use as like my template. And so that way I have everything all ready to go. I can just start riffing to one of those three, and then just like, okay, this is how it's going to sound in this BPM, and I can dick around with that. But yeah, it'll be guitar riffs, then I'll reprogram the drums, re-record all the guitars, record bass, and then start fucking with vocals. Or sometimes if I don't want to forget, because my ADD is ridiculous some days, where I'll come up with an awesome idea, and then by the end of the day it's gone. I'm like that. So I'm like, wow, I should have wrote that down. So I'll riff. I'll like riff something, put a shitty drum beat to it just to fill it in, and then record some vocals real quick just to be like, okay, it's been archived in my computer. So long as my hard drive doesn't eat shit, we're good. We're good for the foreseeable future, and I can come back to this song. I've got like 80-90 demos, like all kind of like bits and pieces all written. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll come back to that. I've got like 3 or 4 riffs. Oh, my headset just beeped. You guys can still hear me?
Yeah.
All good? Okay, just making sure. Yeah, so like it's just like the process is either I have lyrics or music first, and then sometimes it's like I'll be noodling on the guitar and I'll come up with a cool riff, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna record that and save it for a rainy day. I'll come back to it. If I come up with a song idea, I was like, oh, that riff was cool. So yeah, and most of the time I write by myself now. And then I've got a whole bunch of musician friends now that are way better than I am at songwriting. Like I'll show shit to Paul every once in a while, like, hey, what do you think of this? I think you'll really dig this. Or Sean, or I'll show it to Aegon, I'll show it to Devil in the Buffer. I'm like, hey, I'm working on something new here. What do you think? And I like hearing different like takes. Like I was showing over the weekend, Sean and I drove out to the drive-in. We watched some cool indie horror films for the Joe Bob's Jamboree or whatever at Mahone.
Did you see the Accelerators?
And any accelerators, like members, or like
they played? I thought at that thing this weekend.
It was Friday night. If they played Friday,
oh, they played Saturday. Okay.
Yeah, Saturday sold out like in seconds. So I didn't get. Yeah. Yeah. So I was out there, and on the way, I was showing Sean a whole bunch of my demos, and Sean's like, he listens to so much fucking music. It's like he's all over the place. He's blues and funk and punk and metal and everything, reggae. He's all over the fucking place. Like his favorite bands are Pink Floyd and Ween, shit like that. So like I played a whole bunch for him. And he's like, oh man, this sounds like this or this, and something I never would have thought. Like I'm just writing songs that it sounds cool to me, And he's like picking all these parts. He's like, oh man, this sounds like this, and it's really cool hearing like someone else's ears, listen to my music and like basically report back what they're hearing, and it's like, oh, I never looked at it like that, or
I've got into bands because people said shit like that to me, like, oh, this kind of reminds me of this band, and I was like, oh, well, let me check that band out and see what they sound like, and like,
yeah,
yep,
it's I appreciate
all the time.
any if people could pick something out of any song that sounds like that reminds them of something cool that they like and they know, I'm all about that, man. Like, even sometimes I will hear it and be like, that's questionable, but like, whatever. It's something, whatever it is about it. It could be the vibe. It could be the fucking, who knows? You can't. It's tough to know, but.
Oh yeah. I also like when playing live shows, we used to play like, pretty much like every weekend, every other weekend with Devil in the Belfry. We'd play in the city, we play over to Jersey. We went on a little tour. But hearing after our set, we have people come up to us and be like, "Oh man, this sounds like this. You guys sound like this." We've had so many people like say the strangest things, like, "Oh, you guys sound like Anthrax," and it's like, really? We had a guy sound. We played the Blue Room in Secaucus this one time, and the guy came up and was like, "Yeah, you guys sound like Metallica." And I'm like, "What?" Like not once have I ever like wrote a song for like our horror punk band where I thought, yeah, fuck yeah, this is Metallica. I'm gonna sing it like this because James Hetfield would sing it like this, And someone's like, "Dude, you guys sound like Metallica, man." And like this dude wasn't wasted, because sometimes you get those guys that come up that are,
bro, you're like Metallica.
But a lot of times, we get like weird comments where like, "Oh, you guys sounded like a mixture of this and this," and it's like, really? I never would have pieced that together. Yeah, it's pretty interesting how like just it's like a different set of ears.
It's also too because like most people have no idea what the fuck a horror punk band is. Like,
they're
like, these weird guys.
They
like you might be wearing makeup or whatever the fuck or whatever. Like they have no idea. It's like, oh, is this? Most and two live people can't really like hear the lyrics. Like you tell them like, oh, this song is this. Okay. You play the song, like they don't know. They just like groove into it. Like it's a weird thing, like what you'll end up sounding like to people that have no idea what the fuck, like even you're doing. Like,
and on the other hand too, it's like you grow up listening to all these bands that they're comparing you to, and like you're subconsciously writing shit that might actually sound like that, but since it's subconscious, you don't even know, like, oh shit, that riff does sound like Metallica. I never, just because someone pointed out, it's the first time you heard it, and you're like, oh, you know what, that does kind of got like that vibe, and you just never knew.
Like, totally, all the time. Like, there's somebody will tell me like, oh yeah, you hit that just like Bad Religion. It's like, oh, I probably did, like vocally, like
you just never realized it.
I listen to enough.
I'm saying these people have no taste. They just have no idea what they're listening to. McDonald's sells the most hamburgers. They're shit hamburgers. We all know this.
Well, no, but
they buy the frozen shit from ShopRite.
That's like the cool.
There you go. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Metallica is like the standard of like, unless those people know like Slayer or something, but like Metallica's generally like the heavy standard band that people know. Like,
and
if they think,
metal act.
Like, and if they think you're heavy, that's like a cool compliment. A cooler compliment would be Megadeth,
Hell yeah.
Maybe an even greater compliment would be Slayer, but like, I don't know. It's like, to me, like those are like the metal bands that like people, if they don't really know, but they know they're like watching,
the big
like,
four.
Yeah, Anthrax, exactly. Like, if they know they're watching a punkish metalish band, they would think of that.
If they drop like Exodus or Motorhead, what's that other one I'm drawing a blank on, but
Testament.
Testament, thank you. Testament, they drop those, they're a little more, they're deeper down, they're not sitting at that mainstream level, they're like in the middle.
They're gonna listen to some anal cunt on the ride home.
I found that in high school. That was like that was a gem at that time.
What do you guys think is the most extreme shit that you listen to?
The most shit that I personally listen to?
What do you mean by extreme?
Like extreme in what context?
I mean, Phil, do you listen to Screwdriver? If not, what other band? No, that's what I'm saying. You don't. But like, like the heaviest fucking, the music you think is like the fucking heaviest, craziest shit. I don't mean extreme in terms of like white supremacy.
No, I never listened to anything like that. I did like War for a while, but they're really not that hard. It was just kind of funny,
I think I don't listen to anything like too extreme, but if I had to, like, there's two bands that I found a couple years back that I thought were like pretty ridiculous, but I actually enjoyed listening to them. Was Rings of Saturn. They're like alien core or some shit. They're considered alien metalcore. I don't know. They're pretty extreme because they tune like drop like fucking E. They're like a whole octave down. It's absurd. Or Obscura is this really cool death metal band with a really good fucking bassist. He plays like a 6-string fretless, and he like does all this tapping stuff. And, he's pretty nuts. So like maybe as far as metal extreme goes, I think those two are up there. As far as like obscure shit goes, I love Maximum the Hormone, that Japanese metal band.
No.
Those guys fucking rule. I got to see them live in New York a couple years ago.
Where'd you see that?
One of the cool Best Buy Theater, which is now the PlayStation Theater. They came up. Yeah, they filled that fucking place. They told everyone, put your phones away. They didn't steal your phones like the Misfits. They just told you to put your phones away. They didn't put them in stupid little Ziplocs or whatever. And not one person was sitting there with their phone up. You know, everyone was fucking moshing and jumping around and having a good time. They're like a metal band that's also a pop punk band that's also a ska band. They're all over the place. And it's not like they have a ska song. They have a metal song. They have a pop punk song. They take all three of those and mash them into one for all their songs. So and they have three vocalists. The drummer is a chick, has an awesome voice, awesome sense of humor too. She was just making fun of Americans the whole time we saw them. It was, and she was doing a great job. She's like, "Oh, hamburger, hot dog, yeah." it was hilarious. She's busting her balls.
You said they're Japanese?
Japanese, yeah. If you ever seen or heard of the anime Death Note, two of their songs were featured in that anime. So if you listen, if you watch anime at some point during one of the seasons or whatever, they have the opening and closing song. My buddy showed them to me a couple years back, and actually 10 years ago now, probably at this point, back in high school. But yeah, they're fucking incredible. They blend it, and so they have the one guitarist has like clean vocals. And then they have the harsh vocal guy who's just him on his mic. He does all like the harsh vocals, and he sings so fast. And they all have very unique sounding voices. I mean, the drummer has a pretty just it sounds like a Japanese chick singer. That's like what's that pop metal what's it called?
Baby metal.
Baby metal. Yeah. They have a very similar tone of the voice, but it's so cool hearing the dynamic go from the harsh vocals, and then it'll do like this pre-chorus where the dude's singing, and then it'll hit to the chorus where the chick sings, and it's just such a cool, and it's so seamless. They don't do it. It's not jarring. It doesn't hit you like oh shit, she's singing now. It's a nice smooth transition the whole song, and nothing comes out of nowhere. The way their songwriting is incredible. Yeah.
What's it called again?
Maximum the Hormone.
Maximum the Hormone.
Maximum, yep. Not medium, but Maximum the Hormone, like bad hormone, but spelled the
like
proper
hormone.
way.
Yeah, the right
way.
Yeah. Like a savage idiot.
Have you guys ever heard of 12-Foot Ninja? Because that kind of sounds a little bit like that. Yeah.
They've got this really cool. They use that crazy Varix guitar or something like that. It's called.
Yep.
Very similar to yours, Paul. Where the dude just like is playing, and he clicks a button, and it's a completely different tone. It sounds like a banjo and shit. Like he plays all that crazy stuff, and he can like change the tuning of each one of his strings, and it's like on the fly.
Dude, that thing is the greatest invention of all time to me.
It's for years they had the modeling amps, and now they got modeling guitars, and it's wild.
Yeah, instead of like, I mean, I don't mind like having. Actually, I fucking hate having to change the tuning of anything. So to be able to like change, just tune a knob and like, oh yeah, my tuning is now whatever I want it to be. And also too, what's cool is I made a tuning. I always write all my songs in A.
Yeah.
Most of my songs, Jeff, you could attest this, are in the key of A. I wrote a tuning that's A where the E string is instead of, E where my E string is. It's like an A standard tuning. And I'll tell you, that shit for just playing a solo, it's like so weird how changing the tone of something makes it so much different. Like putting a capo on your guitar and playing a solo rather than not putting that. It's like, I don't know. It really just opened me up more to like different shit, and also being able to do like a banjo and a sitar. I love that thing, man. I play it all the time. That's my acoustic shows. I'm playing that thing. Because
you can make it sound like an acoustic, and you don't have to lug a fat acoustic around.
I don't have to lug shit.
Yeah. Don't you just plug? Is there a pedal that goes with it, right?
I got the pedal, so I could just plug it in XLR and just play to my heart's content, like a lazy bitch.
Sweet. It's work smarter, not harder, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, technology is just an amazing thing. I mean, like, even Phil, like, Phil, when you started writing, were you on a typewriter?
No, I wasn't on a typewriter. I was on a computer. What year did you think this was? 1945?
Well, I mean, judging by your beard, I thought you had like a chisel and a hammer, and you were like, "Oh, this is the epitaph of Jesus."
That's right. I was just wearing a bed sheet before we got on the show.
Yeah, you remember the Rosetta Stone? That was Phil.
Nice. That's a good one.
The Perry Stone.
I was kind of like, I think like some of the takeaways Jeff was saying is just kind of be like, it's good to network with different artists, kind of be open to challenging yourself and shit like that. Nope. And a lot of that stuff kind of rang true with me too, kind of on my journey.
It's good to be closed-minded and not be able to take criticism. Just get offended and upset all the time. Everyone is against you. You're the victim. That's what I took away from this.
Nice.
Criticism without a solution is the worst kind of criticism.
Yeah.
The criticism where it's just like, oh, here's my thing I slaved over for hours and hours on end. What do you think? Nah, you know what? I don't like that one part. Okay. What don't you like about it? Well, you know what? Okay. Well,
it could be better.
You got any other input? Like, what, that's it? You just don't like it? Like, what do you? Come on, elaborate a little bit. Tell me what you do differently. What could make this better?
Go to this chord instead of this chord.
Yeah, like give me something to work with here.
Make it double time. Make it half time. Give me something, you fuck.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a like constructive criticism. It's like when I first started, I thought I was better than I was, being a fucking kid, But over the years, you realize you're like, oh shit, I sucked. It was bad. And then but that's being bad, everyone's got to be bad before you're good. So knowing how bad you were, and what you can course correct to make you a better songwriter or a better player or whatever. So it was good. So it was always good having like all that old shit you used to do on like an archive where you're like, oh yeah, I remember when I used to write songs like that. That was fucking stupid. I shouldn't probably do that. I shouldn't do that anymore. But yeah, like getting criticism now is a lot different than like even 5 years ago. Brett and I used to argue all the time at practice where I'm like, no, it totally sounds fine. It sounds awesome. No, do it like this. Do it like this. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try like this. And like in hindsight, yeah, he was right most of the time. But nowadays it's like, okay, what would you do differently? And it's as long as someone gives me like a solution to my, something they're hearing, like, something doesn't sound quite right with that. What if you, messed around with the melody there or the metering or the phrase? Like I always come to you for phrasing all the time because you've got interesting takes on like some of my phrasing that I've showed demos of for you. And it's like, oh, I never would have thought to sing it like that, and then, I'll next time I write something, now I'm like constantly thinking about phrasing, and I'm a little more free writing lyrics. I don't have to fit like it's like, okay, this one is 7 syllables and it rhymed on this, and it's an ABABA, whatever rhyme scheme. And now it's like, well, I can fit in 8 syllables, but still make it sound like the first verse in the second verse. So now I have a bunch of songs where I'm still singing the same melody, but I'm adding extra syllables, and just the way I'm singing, it still sounds consistent with the first verse. And that's from like just like listening to you take one of my songs and fuck with it. And now I'm like totally conscientious of like, oh, I can fuck with the melody here, or I can fuck with how many times I say this, or maybe I can take this word or add this word in, and then I'll sing that on here, and this one I'll drop down the scale to here. And so now it's like just because working with other musicians and hearing their takes on my lyrics or something, I can be like, oh, you know what? Now I think about it more. I never thought about it before. I thought it was one solution to everything, but really there's 100 solutions to like a riff and a set of lyrics. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty fucking impressive.
I don't have a drink. I got these. I don't even do edibles, but I got these edibles here. Those are Laura's.
I did one a while ago. Yeah. Well, Sour Patch Kids, guys.
Got some compressed air.
I'll tell you, the edibles now are awesome. They've just been coming in droves, and it's like, fucking. Oh, what do you want? I got a Coca-Cola one that's like a little candy Coke bottles, or these ropes, or this or that.
You remember those vitamins you used to take when you were a kid? Those Flintstones vitamins. Now it's just like that, but in edibles. They're vitamins for adults.
With weed in them.
they're micro dosing vitamins. Yeah.
Yeah, it closes off that whole middle-aged, I hate everything vibe. It kind of takes the edge off of that a little bit,
It's tremendous, like what's happened, and since like I don't know, it's gonna get legalized, I think federally, or at least decriminalized.
It's got right now there's only a few states where you can just go walk into a store and buy edibles. You have to like these ones that I got here are from Massachusetts. My buddy bought them for me. He went up to Massachusetts because he gets edibles and he smokes pot all the time to mellow out his anxiety, depression, stuff like that. And he's like, here, I got you these housewarming gifts. I know it's 2 years late, but here's a housewarming gift. So Laura's been using them on those stressful days and shit like that, where she's gonna need something, out of her comfort level, So yeah, it's awesome. I love seeing it. I used to be so against pot in high school. Because I associated with all the fucking dirt bags. Everyone that fucking smoked pot in high school was an asshole. Like, just unrelenting asshole. So back when I was like 17, 18 years old, I was like, fuck potheads, but they're all dickheads. The pot's stupid. Whoever's a pothead's just a fucking bum. That was literally what I thought as a teenager. And nowadays it's the opposite. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, fucking smoke them up, man. If that helps you fucking live your life and not have to stress 24/7, you fucking smoke them if you got them. Yeah. I'm like, I completely 180'd on that because it's, seeing friends and stuff like that, like basically medicate themselves with it. It's incredible what it does to someone's psyche and mental health. It's wild. I'm so glad that shit's fucking legal everywhere now.
I was the same way, dude. Like, I was all anti-pot when I was a kid. Just not even for any like real reason other than, A, I didn't want my brother selling it out of my parents' house. I didn't think that was a good idea.
Yeah.
And like,
wise.
A lot of people I knew that did it ended up like, it did kind of work as a gateway drug, I guess, at a certain age. I don't want to say, oh, it's a gateway drug, but like, I don't know, kids that started doing it too young, they were like looking for more shit to get fucked up on by like 15, 16.
Trying to one up themselves or some shit.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
Oh, can we get cocaine? Like, what, can we get crack? Like, it's like, dude, what are you fucking nuts?
Yeah, it's not the chemical in the drug. It's their own fucking stupid ideas as being an undeveloped brain.
It's the idea of just being fucked up and out of control. And like once you do enough pot, it just kind of chills you out. Like you're not gonna get more high. Like there's some days where I'm like, oh man, it would be cool to be like super fucking banged up, but like I'm not gonna try crack. Like Jesus Christ.
I kind of have this whole hippie thing of like, mushrooms maybe once a year or once every 5 years kind of helps if you're into the whole kind of nature, find yourself, find your center, kind of personal work kind of shit. I know that's like popular now, but I mean, it actually comes from, like shamans and shit, that's like thousands of years old and shit like that. But anyway, I just think anything that comes from nature is okay. Once you start fucking with it on a chemical level, that's when it goes fucking awry. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could sit in a room and smoke pot for hours and hours, for years, in the same room, and everything is fine. The smoke doesn't do shit, and then you do the same thing with cigarettes, and it coats everything in this yellow fucking jelly goopy shit, and it's disgusting. Yeah, it's just like settling over, and it's so gross, and you can't get you can't get that shit out. You gotta like if you go to an old house or something that some old couple lived in, they just smoked in it for 70 years, and then you go to buy it, you got to rip everything out, get the whole thing to fucking make it
that
normal,
was
because it's gonna smell.
When I cleaned out my grandmother's house upstairs, she had a tenant that smoked in one room for probably about 70 years, maybe 60. I don't know. She was an older lady, and the only thing that was on the wall was a cross, and it was great because we took the cross off the wall, and that was the only part where the wallpaper was like white.
And you could see the outline.
Yeah, it was disgusting. I'm like, oh my god, I should never smoke. And then I quit like 10 years later.
Yeah, that's what happens. Yep.
Well, usually at this point we start to wind it down. We opened the show with Devil in the Belfry.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. We're gonna close the show with Aegon. There's no video that's gonna play. It's just a black screen. It's not broken. It's really just my own fault. But usually at this point, we start to wind down and we pick an asshole of the week.
Oh, I got one. I forgot about that, and I got one. As long as let's see, what was it? Sunday? I think it was Sunday when this happened. Yeah, it was Sunday. I was driving my sister to the airport. She was in town for her wedding shower. I'm coming home, or I'm supposed to be coming home. I was gonna hang out with my sister for a little while before her flight, but we decided to go straight to the airport. Coming home on Route 15 South. I'm at the merge in Sparta, Lafayette area by the Quick Check, and I'm coming up. There's 2 lanes coming up over the hill, and you get on top of the hill, the dash line's end, and it merges. And I'm coming up. I'm just taking my time. Laura's in the car. My sister's in the car. We're just driving, chilling. Nice, easy, relaxing drive. I drive a lot less aggressively now. Now I get why the dude's insurance drops after 25 because whatever. But I'm sitting there and I can see in my periphery there's a fucking red Nissan Rogue right next to me, and it's like inching along. And at this point the dash lines are gone, and I'm just kind of chilling. I got a nice space between the big truck in front of me. I don't want to not pay attention to the truck. There's supposed to be that safety bubble between car in front of you, and I'm just moseying. There's no rush. There's a long line of traffic because they fucking put that new shop right in there, and I just keep seeing this car inch up, and then all of a sudden she fucking blows right up past me, and she's behind me this whole time, and she's just like run like that, and I'm like, there's not going anywhere. There's a huge line of traffic in front of me. No one's going anywhere. There's even if you got in front of me, you're sitting in the same fucking line of cars for just as long as I am, and I'm like, what the fuck? And she just blows right past me, and now I'm slightly behind her. The whole zipper is how you're supposed to merge. Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I stepped on it. I go up next to her. I roll my window down. I was like, what the fuck, lady? And she's like, I gave you plenty of time to merge. I was like, what the fuck? I just gave her the middle finger and then tried to cut her off. I scared her. I tried to push her into the other lane real quick, and then I was like, whatever, just take the fucking thing. But I was like, it was so unnecessary because she got nowhere. I was sitting right behind her for the next fucking 10 minutes of the traffic. It was no point whatsoever. So I was like, there's my asshole of the week. This stupid fucking lady who thought that my slow motion merge was gonna fucking ruin her day by the 1 second. She got ahead of me. Yeah. So what do you guys got? What are your assholes of the week?
To society, Jeff.
I know. That's the only time you'll see me angry is road rage. I'm a Jersey driver, native. This is where I learned how to drive. So when you fuck with my flow, the way I'm doing my thing on the road, then I will fuck with you back. Yeah, that's it. Yep. And I will cuss you out as I do it.
There you go.
With my thick Jersey accent that I don't realize I have until someone points it out.
Hey Philip, who's your asshole of the week?
My asshole of the week is the State Department, specifically the Passport Control Center, because we were supposed to be going to the Caribbean, but because my girlfriend's passport is lost in the fucking yawning maw of the fucking passport center. We called several times, waited online, waited fucking on hold for hours. Their whole system is down now. You can't even get it through anymore, this and that. So I had to cancel the whole trip. Luckily, I got a refund, but we're going to beautiful Vermont, which will be very nice. But I was hoping to be on the fucking beach in the fucking Caribbean. What are you going to do? I'll go next year.
Now you'll be in the woods, motherfucker.
I'll be in the woods, motherfucker.
That'll be nice. That'll be awesome.
Getting a passport sucks.
I'll be making maple syrup.
I was supposed to go to Mexico.
Don't go to fucking Mexico. Don't go. Don't go.
No, Mexico's cool. I've been there. No, I've been there once now.
No, I just
went to
mean
Riviera
right
Maya.
now. I just mean
right now.
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
a lot of people are going there like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. I'm not going to get COVID, and then they get COVID real bad. Don't go to Mexico.
I'm fully vaxxed. I'm good. There's only like a 1% chance of me getting it. But yeah. I was supposed to go, but the passport situation is ridiculous. It's supposed to take 4 to 6 weeks, but it's taking 6 months to get your passport back now.
4 to 6 years.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, Paul, who's your asshole of the week?
My asshole of the week is, oh God, there's so many.
The asshole.
I think a lot of them are listening. No. My asshole of the week is really, I'm just gonna generalize. I'm gonna stereotype a group of people. People that love to just roll through a stop sign into like a very busy intersection. Not even an intersection. It's just like a 4-lane highway. Like, you know, 2 lanes going one way, 2 lanes the other. Like people that just want to roll in and like make that left. I had one of those today. A good old New York driver in Edison, and it's like I'm gonna come up and eventually hit traffic. There's 2 lanes going this way, 2 lanes going the other way. The lane to the left of me has cars. I'm pulling all the way to the car that's all the way at the end, like, of my lane, which is about 10 cars deeper than the lane next to me. A New York driver is trying to make a left and just decides, is like coming out of a gas station and just fucking drives into the street. Going nowhere. There's a fucking line of cars in front of him. They're not making this fucking left turn without everybody fucking kind of adjusting anyway. But like, almost just T-boned me. Like, yeah, scared the shit out of me. I'm like, fucking, I had to go to the stupid doctor, deal with my bullshit, and that's just like, I'm gonna get fucking murdered by some New York asshole that doesn't know how to drive. So yeah, that's my asshole of the week. I think it's just New York drivers. Like, they seem incompetent. I feel like it's
I almost
New
got
York.
stuck one today too. Yeah.
Like New York and Pennsylvania are the worst. And then when you go up north, it's like Massachusetts, massholes. Oh my God, they're the fucking worst. Like, I don't know. Like, we drive like fucking psychos in New Jersey, but we all drive like
we're efficient.
Yeah,
that's different.
Like a fucking psychotic.
We're efficient in Jersey.
A psychotic hive mind of like, oh yeah, those guys are racing. Like, we'll just fucking leave them alone, and like, I'm gonna get in front of this guy, and he just don't care. Like, whatever. Like, I feel like we can read the road, whereas other states, they're just like fucking 40 miles an hour in the left lane, like, and then this is my exit.
That's PA, yeah.
Yep.
PA drivers are Sunday drivers. New York drivers are too aggressive. Jersey's right, that sweet spot in the middle. We're just really efficient.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
That's how I've always seen it. But there is a weird phenomenon where you see, you know, PA drivers hate New York and New Jersey. New York hates Jersey and PA. No one will ever admit they hate their own state's drivers. That's the thing. That's a rule.
It's basically
you can't hate your own state's drivers.
It's basically the Warriors. Like, all the different states' drivers were like the different gangs. Like, New Jersey's definitely the Warriors.
Definitely.
And New York's definitely the Baseball Furies. And PA is that gang that dresses like orphans.
Nice.
And I think on that note, we're going to get the fuck out of here. We're playing Rise by A Gathering of None. And then our theme song, and then we'll be out. But this is where we say goodbye. Jeff, thanks for coming on, brother.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
anytime, man. Anytime. If you need someone to fill in a tight spot, let me know, man. I don't do much during the week because of work, so.
Love you,
it's been fun.
Be good, guys.
I'll talk about whatever you want. Take it easy, guys.
Next time, we're going to talk about all Jeff's favorite porns.
Ooh.
We're out.
Later.
Pins, the fixes, and can you find your way to your feet again? 'Cause this is where you're bound, and this is where you'll drown. The graveyard's shifting ever closer, the sun in the sky is sinking lower. You want out of the hole, then put the shovel down and rise. Above the noise and the confusion, above the suicide solution. where you're bound, and this is where you'll drown. Facing the mirror, growing older, the hearted has grown colder. You want out of this bed, but just stop lying down and rise. Just rise above the noise and the confusion, above the suicide solution. Find it in yourself to rise. The more you fall, the more you crawl. The more you find it in yourself to. The more you climb, the more you stand. The more you find it in yourself to. Push down the fear beneath your breath. Whisper a prayer to fight this death. Wipe the blood away and find it in yourself to rise. Just rise. Above the noise and the confusion, above the suicide solution. Wipe the blood away and rise, rise, rise. Just closer. The sun in the sky is sinking lower. You want out of the hole, then put the shovel down and rise. Just rise. tears and the wasted years? Can you steer the ship past all these fears? 'Cause this is where you're bound, and this is where you'll drown. Facing the mirror.